What's going on, and welcome to another live edition of Real Fans Real Talk. It's been a crazy week in the sports world. I see the comments are definitely rolling in. Big fight in boxing this past weekend, even bigger fight in boxing this coming weekend in the heavyweight division. Playoffs is looking real crazy in the NBA. I got to shout out to New York Rangers, man. You doing all right. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
You already know what's really good, bro. Super excited to get to it. We got a lot to get to because we're in the thick of things for the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. I know we don't get many questions about those. We got boxing, and then the WNBA season is tipping off now as well. So we have plenty to talk about.
Yes, and it's a lot of money been given out today and the past couple of days as well. But we're gonna get into all of that in a minute because I see you've got a whole bunch of comments coming in. Shout out to Justin Frizione, first one in at 520. Appreciate you, man. Let's just I see you got an NFL question. We're gonna get to the NFL a little later, so I'm gonna get to that first question, and we're gonna definitely speak about Jared Goff and getting that bag later as well. But we're gonna start in the NBA right now because we are in the thick of things in the NBA playoffs. A couple of series just got even out, and two series looking a little bit more dominant than the other. But let's start with the Western Conference. Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know we got a lot of questions coming in about the Timberwolves and the Nuggets in that series. Eric, what's your take on the series so far, man? Talk to me.
Well, when we recorded last week, and I know one of the questions talked about the series being 2-2, and specifically when it was 2-0, what we thought. When it was 1-0, I still thought it was going 7. Minnesota, as you and I, we may not get credit for this trip, but as you and I have said over and over again, in order to hang with Denver, you need the two bigs, sometimes even three bigs, to be able to slow down Joker. First two games of the series, Minnesota's defense and their bigs really carried the headlines for this series. Now Jamal Murray looks like he's a little healthier. Denver looks like the defending champs. They got a great game from Aaron Gordon yesterday. I still think the series goes 7. Minnesota is a highly competitive, very good defensive team. So I think they will find a way. I don't know if they can get another one in Denver, but I do think that we get to a situation now where both of these teams are going to win at least one game at home right now and then push for that game 7 back at Denver. So that's where I see it going. I think it's been a great series, and I think we got 3 more to go in there.
Yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. I'm loving the talk. It's a lot of talk. This is my type of basketball. This they play in New York City type of basketball now because we love that type of talk. Jamal Murray and Anthony Edwards going back and forth at it. I gotta give Anthony Edwards a lot of credit because he took the blame for that game 3 loss. And that says a lot about Anthony Edwards and his character. So I love that, and I love the fact that they lost 2 straight, but they still ready to go at it. On the other side of that, Aaron Gordon, he has been stepping his game up. I think a lot of times we look at him as an athletic big man who plays pretty good defense, but he's showing you his offensive game. He's showing you his ability to pass the basketball, to make different kinds of shots. He's showing his versatility, and he stepped up during the times where Jokic may have been struggling, Jamal Murray may have been struggling. Aaron Gordon has been the key to their team's success in this series. With the way he's played over the last couple of games. Again, those 7-footers, they're definitely showing the wear and tear they've been putting on Jokic. I've seen him look winded early several times throughout this series. So they're doing what they're supposed to do right now. I mean, I would have loved for them to win one, at least one of these games at home, but you did do your job in winning the first 2 on the road. So, what I mean, now it's up to you guys. You get back home after 2 straight losses. I think the Timberwolves win game 5. But depending on how they win game 5, it's going to change whether or not I feel like this series is going to go 7 or not.
You think Minnesota can go into Denver and win another game?
So it depends on how they win this game. If they win this game and this is a close,
no. Game 5 is in Denver.
Down to the I think
so they can say Minnesota. So you think Minnesota's going to win again over there because they've already won the first 2?
Yeah, they have. I mean, they have no choice.
No, I know. I think it's a lot to ask for a young team to win 3 road games in a series. I'm not saying that it's impossible to do, but going there the first time was a tall task to go in there, and now to bring that type of energy again on the road. Historically, your role players play better at home. I also think because Jamal Murray seems a little healthier, Denver will look, I think, a little different in this game than they did in the first two games.
So, okay, so here's why I say I believe they can. Just because the way they lost these last two games, I don't see them losing 3 straight like that in the series. I think Anthony Edwards, who has leveled up every series, every game, he's leveling up more and more. He is doing what he's supposed to do. But I think we're gonna see in this game on the road, Karl Anthony Towns is going to look like he says he's the best shooting big man of all time. I think he's gonna look like that in game 5 to go along with what we're gonna get from Anthony Edwards, who I think had another 40+ point night.
44
yesterday. So I think that's what happens. And then they go back to Minnesota and they get the one game that they should, they finally get a win.
So you think Minnesota gets the next 2 games to end the series?
Yeah.
They win 5 and 6. I don't know. I see it the other way around. I think game 5, Denver wins. I think Minnesota probably plays better at home and wins game 6, which then forces that game 7. But Karl Anthony Towns has not played well in this series. Rudy Gobert did not look good in game 3. He redeemed himself a little bit in game 4, but I think we're getting to the point now with their 2 bigs where they both can't stay on the floor. It seems like Denver has found a way to neutralize their 2 bigs. They're not as aggressive on the boards as they were in the first 2 games, and you're not seeing any impact. Karl Anthony Towns didn't shoot well yesterday. We know Gobert is very limited offensively. Mike Conley didn't shoot well yesterday. So that's what scares me the most about all this, that at home you guys didn't play well and shoot well specifically. And normally that's where you see the other guys start to step up. So I don't know if they can go into Denver and for a 3rd time get the great contributions from everybody else. Edwards has been phenomenal. He has been the leader of this team as we expected. I don't know if we expected him to consistently score as he has, but he has been everything as advertised. Now it's up to the other guys, and I just don't see it in Karl Anthony Towns, to be honest.
He out here putting his stamp on face of the league. That's what Anthony Edwards is doing. He's only out here putting his stamp on future face of the league. Shout out to Dion Hoop's page. He says Nuggets are content with Edwards getting 35 to 40. Karl Towns, I tell everyone, he's sitting down. He's soft as cotton, and that's why I said I think we're gonna get a game like that from Karl Anthony Towns in game 5. I think he's going to have to step back up, and I think he will do that against the Denver Nuggets in game 5. I've seen a couple of other questions. Well, let me go to Hoopball. Shout out to Hoopball Scoop. Are you all enjoying the playoffs overall without Curry / Durant and the big names we usually see? Love it because it showcases the new dogs. I agree 1,000%. Obviously, I want to see LeBron in it until the end every year. You know what I'm saying? But before I was a fan of LeBron James, before I was a fan of Michael Jordan even, I was a fan of basketball. So I still want to see it. And again, it's not like, LeBron James is my favorite player, but he ain't the only player I like to watch in basketball. There's a lot of guys, you know what I'm saying, that I'm like, oh, nah, these are them guys. You know what I'm saying? Giannis is one of my favorite players. Kyrie is one of my favorite players. I like seeing Luka do what he does offensively. I love when seeing Dame hit that imaginary watch on his wrist. So yeah, I loved watching the game of basketball. Now if we talking about like if this was like the mid 2000s, it was like the Utah Jazz versus some other scrub team in the NBA Finals, then I'd be like, all right, whatever. But this is exciting basketball we get.
I mean, if you're a fan of basketball, you don't really care what big names are still left. You just want to see good basketball. But also, I mean, to those 2 names specifically, I mean, since Curry won 3 seasons ago, they didn't make a deep playoff run, obviously, the last few years. Durant hasn't made a deep playoff run since he left Golden State, so it's not like we've gotten a lot of Durant moments in the playoffs. This is what the playoffs have pretty much been the last few years. It's been the as everybody loves to say, the passing of the guard, the newer guys that have come in and kind of carried the league in these moments. And I think Denver's doing a great job as defending champs and defending their title. I think we're getting a great opportunity to see some of the young guys in the league. Really, the only consistent team in terms of deep playoff runs the last few years has been Boston, because they're always in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the NBA Finals as they were a couple years ago. But in terms of new guys showcasing their talent, this is what we've been seeing the last few years. So I continue to enjoy it. And as you mentioned, I'm a fan of the game first and foremost.
Yep. Shout out to Ron Charles. The Nuggets, the last two games, has to me played their best two games of the playoffs, and Murray is 100% now. Yeah, I agree. Because even against the Lakers, you know what I mean, those games were coming down to the wire. Matter of fact, they were having to come back in most of those games. These last two games, they've been completely dominant. Of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Minnesota had no answer for them, and they haven't had enough offensively these last two games. So yeah, overall, I would say I would agree with that. These are the best two games they've played this playoffs, and Jamal Murray being healthy is going to be big for them these next couple of games because they're going to need him to be hitting those half court buzzer beater shots that nobody's supposed to make. They're going to need him to hit them game winners at the end of the fourth quarter. So the fact that he's healthy is going to do a lot for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, he's healthy now, and it gives him that classic 1-2 punch. But the Nuggets, to me, as we've talked about before as well, that their versatility. You know, they can have Michael Porter Jr. shoot well. Some nights it's Aaron Gordon. Some nights it's Caldwell Pope. So they have this array of different shooters that can help out when their top two guys don't really have it going. Last two games, the top two guys have had it going, and then they got the supporting cast involved as well. And that's what makes him so tough to beat, man. Joker is the best player in the world. I know a lot of people aren't happy that he won his third MVP in 4 seasons, but it is what it is. He is the best player in the world right now, and he's showing it again on the biggest stage.
Let me throw Kyrie Scotland up here.
Oh my God! See, I knew it wasn't going to take long, bro. I'm not even going to answer that question. We're not going to address that.
Listen, first of all, I'm not hyped for them hanging with the Nuggets. Obviously, I wanted them to be here, still playing basketball. You know what I mean? So it
Let's not go down this path because this nah. We love the supporters. We love the supporters. We love the supporters, but this is what we talk about all the time. Y'all throw out a Laker question. Then when we start talking about it, everybody else behind that's going to flood the comment section and say, why are we talking about the Lakers again? So you already know what road this leads us down. Shout out to Kyrie, though.
Let's get back to the Wolves.
Let's get to it. Let's get to who's playing now.
To both of you, when the Timberwolves shockingly went up 2-0 on the Nuggets, did you both say T-Wolves will either sweep or going to win? And now the Nuggets have tied the series. Well, I said they was going to win before the series started, but them winning those first two games kind of cemented, you know what I'm saying, my feeling that they could beat this team, especially doing that on the road against the defending champs. It's not easy. Now, them losing these next two games, I thought Denver would have won one of these two games. I didn't think they'd win both of these two games, so that was but again, we talking about the defending champion, so we still got to put respect on their name. So it's not impossible that after being down 0-2, they could win, 2 straight games and tie up the series. But it just, again, it just shows like great teams that have veteran and playoff experience, they can take a couple of early hooks and rights to the face and bounce back, and by the 5th and 6th round they right back in this fight. You know what I mean? So that doesn't surprise me.
I never thought this was going to be a sweep. That would be disrespectful to the Nuggets. If you're the champs, you would think the champs can at least get a game in the series. So I never thought it could be a sweep. I thought the Nuggets were in trouble because Jamal Murray did not look good in those first two games, and they were having a lot of trouble with the defensive pressure that Alexander and Jaden Daniels were putting on Murray. But it seemed like the Nuggets kind of figured out a tempo that they could play at, and they figured out a way to like kind of neutralize some of that size that we talked about and some of that defensive just range that the Nuggets have. And we're seeing it now. Nuggets seem to be picking up the pace a little bit offensively, not allowing Minnesota to kind of set their defense, and then they're just picking apart certain matchups. So to this question specifically, I never thought it was going to be a sweep. I thought the Nuggets would find a way to get back in it. I think I'm just a little shocked by how easily the Nuggets won these two games. I thought Minnesota would make it very tough for them to win 2 games in Minnesota. But now that they took home court back, it's all even now, and it's up to Minnesota to adjust because 2 of the next 3 games are in Denver.
Yeah. So there you have it. But again, I'm still sticking to it. I'm still standing on business. I still got Minnesota winning the series overall. Let's jump to the Eastern Conference, to the other series that's been I think these two have been the series of the playoffs thus far, with the Knicks and the Pacers and the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. I know we got a lot of comments about that series. Uh, New York did lose 2 straight games. However, they also lost OG Anunoby, who we don't even know if he's going to be back this round of the playoffs. They were saying it's unlikely he'll be back for Game 5, uh, which will be in New York. But again, it's not really looking good that he'll even be back this series. So we kind of just got to have our fingers crossed and just hope that he can come back. But Eric, talk to me about your thoughts coming into the series, how the Knicks have played, and the reaction to the Pacers winning these last 2 games.
Well, I mean, you were very dismissive of the Pacers. I said I think this series is at least going 6 because it was going to be all about style of play, and the Pacers at home were kind of able to play at their pace. I thought the games in New York, they would start off very quick, and then as the second half went on, the Knicks were able to slow the tempo down, let Jalen Brunson get to work, and they were able to win those games in the second half because they were trailing both those games at halftime in New York. So I think the series has gone as I expected, aside from the injuries. I know I see people talking about, oh, injuries are not an excuse. I'm not saying they're an excuse, but we can't overlook them either. When you're the Knicks and you lose 2 players within a series, let's not forget they lose Mitchell Robinson, who's probably their best defensive player, and you lose OG Anunoby, who's their best perimeter defender. It's going to change your lineups, and it's going to force Thibodeau to play guys that he's not accustomed to playing or didn't want to play in those scenarios. So it's not to make it an excuse, but it is going to alter the way that the Knicks can attack you and the way the Knicks can defend you. And I think the Pacers have done a great job of taking advantage of that in those games at home. As you can see, off every miss, they're pushing tempo. They're getting into their offense very, very quickly and forcing the Knicks to now play at a pace that the Knicks really can't sustain because the Knicks are just, they don't have the bodies. Let's call it what it is. They're missing 4 of their top 8 rotational guys. So they don't have the bodies to keep up, and it's forcing Thibodeau to play some guys that he doesn't want to play. I think one thing that got overlooked in yesterday's game, and I'm not surprised that the Knicks lost Game 4. They had a chance to win Game 3. They lose that game on a Nembhard shot late. The early start yesterday to me was unfair for both teams, but specifically for the Knicks, because you play Game 3 on Friday night. That game doesn't end at 10 o'clock at night. Then you got to play Sunday afternoon. So you didn't even get 2 full days to get ready for the next game. It was pretty much one day, and then you had an early start, which I thought was a little unfair, but the Pacers took advantage of it. I think going into Game 5, both teams will be a little bit more rested. I think the Knicks will try to find a way to get the tempo that they want. And if you're a Knicks fan, if you're the Knicks specifically, this is where you want the series to be. It's tied 2-2. You get an opportunity in Game 5. It'll be interesting to see how Tibbs handles some of the minutes in this game as well, because we know Josh Hart has damn near been playing every game, all game, aside from, Game 4 being a blowout. That was really the only chance the Knicks have gotten a chance to get some rest. But will he be willing to go to his bench early in this game, specifically Alec Burks? Will he give him an opportunity early to try to alleviate some of those minutes for Brunson, who also got hurt in the series? We can't forget that as well. So Tibbs, to me, his coaching is going to be the key in Game 5.
Yeah. And shout out to Imani. Knicks are in trouble. No injury excuses, fellas. Well, here's the thing: they're only in trouble because of the injuries.
Right.
Because if these guys are healthy, and the only injury that I really have a problem with, that I feel like is some BS, is the Mitchell Robinson injury. And I feel like the league should still do something to punish Joel Embiid for that, because he's injured because of what Joel Embiid did during that game, that little BS ankle grab and tried to pull him down. Like, that was really some nonsense. That's the only one I have a problem with. The OG injury, that's in the course of the game. It is what it is. That's going to happen. They're playing a lot of minutes. I get that. Same thing with Jalen Brunson getting hurt. That I don't have a problem with. But the Mitchell Robinson injury, that was a result of the issue, the situation with Joel Embiid. So that I do have a problem with. Now, even in the game where Jalen Brunson got hurt, they still managed to come back and win that game. The Knicks, realistically, and again, because I did pick the Knicks to close this thing out early, but and I believe they would have been on course to do that if we don't lose OG Anunoby, because again, you already, like you mentioned, you already lost your best perimeter defender, which is fine because they still managed to win. Indiana doesn't have that dominant big man. He doesn't have like a AD, a Jokic, a Jan. They don't have that. Miles Turner is all right, but he ain't one of them ones. So you know what I'm saying? You can rotate between Precious and Hartenstein, they'll be fine. But when you're talking about now you lose your best perimeter defender who's been guarding I guess their best offensive player from the scoring standpoint in Pascal Siakam, he was doing work on Pascal Siakam. And we saw the difference when he got hurt. And they had to rotate the guys that were guarding Siakam. We saw how different the Knicks looked. So I don't want, I get it. The injuries are part of the game, but in this situation, the Knicks are really affected because they're already down to their, obviously Jalen Brunson has emerged as their best player, but you were already without Randall, whatever. But then you lose Robinson, and then now OG. That's three of your top four players are out right now, and you got Thibodeau who's playing these guys 40 minutes a night.
You got no choice though.
Well, yeah,
he got no choice. I mean, and it's not to, because I agree with Amani. Injuries are not an excuse. Whoever advances. But we can't act as Tripp said, we can't act as if injuries haven't had an impact on the series, especially when they happen in the series. It's one thing when you go into the series and you already know you don't have a guy. It's another when you have a rotation and then a guy gets injured in the game. I mean, again, Mitchell Robinson plays the first 2 games of the series and then he's out. OG plays the first two games and then he gets hurt and then he's out. Yeah. So those impact the way your strategy and how you attack this team, because players and pieces that you thought were going to be there are no longer there. And now you got to regroup your strategy for guys that you weren't expecting to play. The Knicks did not expect to play Precious Achiuwa this many minutes. They didn't expect to play Alec Burks at all. But now you're at a situation where you have to. And again, there's no excuses. If the Pacers win the series, they just took advantage of whatever it was. They took advantage and they won. If the Knicks win, the Knicks just move on, but they got to figure it out moving forward. It's a great series. I think it's going exactly the way I thought, because I said from jump, I thought it was going 6. So I'm not surprised by anything that I've seen in the series. I don't think any performance has struck me as like, oh, that guy doesn't play at this level. I think the Pacers have done a great job of playing at a tempo that suits them and allows them to get in their offense early. And like I said, when they do that, they look very good. When Knicks have been able to slow down the game a little bit, the way they did in the second half of the first 2 games, they've taken advantage and they look good. So it's all about who can play up to their tempo, and then coaching. Can Tibbs figure out a rotation that's going to work for him? And can Carlisle maintain this pace? Because the same way that the Knicks get worn down, we're going to see the Pacers as well get worn down. Like, let's not forget, as the games get tighter, Carlisle's not going to keep playing 10 guys. He's going to play the 6 or 7 guys that he trusts the most as well. And then we're going to find out who just has better conditioning.
Yeah. Again, I still got the Knicks winning this series. Best case scenario, though, because we know OG's not playing. I think, best case scenario, the Garden is just on fire. And they win game 5 without OG, and then he's able to come back for game 6. And then I think the Knicks do close it out in 6 if that does happen. If not, then it goes to game 7. I still take the Knicks in a game 7 at the Garden. But again, hopefully OG can come back. Let me throw Imani's other comment up here. Shout out to Imani, man. She shows us so much love every week. Big shout out to Imani. Did y'all see Paul Pierce use the N-word on live TV today? Man, I've been waiting for this one all day. I text Eric earlier this morning. I said he got one more time to say something hating ass bull, and I'm flaming him as soon as we get on the air today. Yo, Paul Pierce is a goofy for real, man. And yeah, I did hear him. To answer your question, Imani, I did hear him using the N-word on the show. I seen the video, but he's a goofy, man. I'm so sick and tired of Paul Pierce, and this goes back to the nonsense that he did at the Garden while he was still playing for the Celtics. And Eric, because I've spoken about this in the studio several times. When Reggie Miller, did the choke in the Garden, I didn't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? That was in course with what was going on at the time. He was going back and forth with Spike Lee. When MJ tap danced all over the Knicks, I didn't have a problem with that, man. But when Paul Pierce in a regular season game started doing laps around the Garden and bowing in the middle of Madison Square Garden, like he was really one of them ones, I took personal offense to that. And I wasn't even at the point where I'm at right now, where I'm like just like really in such a space of supporting the Knicks, just for my pops because of how much of a Knicks fan he was. That was at a time where I really didn't give 2 cents about the Knicks. And Eric, I didn't have plenty of days where I was taking shots at the Knicks. But Paul Pierce is a clown. He's a hater. He's hating on this Knicks team going into the series because he know what's up. He want the Pacers to win because he knows that the Knicks actually, if they're healthy, have a legitimate shot at beating the Boston Celtics.
Well, I mean, it's not going to happen again. The Knicks aren't healthy.
Well, not
right. So it's not going to happen. I think either one of these teams really don't stand much of a chance. Pacers probably stand a better chance just because they are healthier. But in terms of talent-wise, they just don't match up well with them. But Paul Pierce,
not that good of a team.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, Paul Pierce, it's for likes. It's all for like. You can see it at times when him and KG interact, where KG seems frustrated with him. Because what I'm saying? It's almost like I'm saying this for shock value. I'm saying this for clickbait, and I may not fully believe it myself. So that's all that is with Paul Pierce.
He believes the stuff he says, bro.
I think he knows. He knows a lot of it is clickbait, bro. There's no way you play in the league as long as he's played in the league, and you say some of the things and you formulate some of the opinions that he's talked about on his platforms. He knows what he's doing. He knows this is shock value. This is a way to get you paying attention to him. Now, does he deep down believe that he was as good as Dwayne Wade? Maybe. That might be his personal feeling, right? That might be his personal feeling. But some of the other things he talks about, we know that's just all for shock value.
Yeah. Let me go to Kyrie Thompson's question. What's your thoughts on Reggie Miller's comments on LeBron James? That ish was crazy, but he wasn't lying about taking accountability. So here's my thing with that. LeBron does take accountability. It's just that LeBron is there's always such a story. There's always a story. There's always multiple stories surrounding LeBron and everything that goes on with whatever organization that he's with. It's like, how much accountability do y'all want the man to take? He's got to take accountability for everything all the damn time. It's like, what else do you want him to say?
Well, I agree with Reggie Miller. I agree with Reggie Miller though, because I've said this plenty of times, and this isn't to knock Bron's greatness, but Bron takes control of these organizations and they do what he wants. And then when it doesn't go his way, he looks for reasons to blame other people for why it didn't work. Like I talked about last time, Bron blew up this roster in LA. He wanted to blow this up. He wanted to bring in veterans and he wanted to chase titles the way he wanted to do it. And now that it's not working, to me, the all-time quote from Bron is, well, it's just basketball. Because now it's just basketball that you're down 3-0 in the series. It wasn't just basketball any other time, but now that you're down 3-0, it's like, oh, at the end of the day, it's just basketball. Like that speaks to what Reggie Miller's talking about. Like now we don't want to take accountability for the fact that we missing shots in the clutch. We don't want to take accountability for not playing good defense in the clutch. We don't want to take accountability for a roster that we helped create, because this roster is the creation of LeBron James. So since he doesn't want to take accountability for that, it's easy to deflect and say it's just basketball. It's not that big of a deal. So I agree with Reggie.
Let me say this, Eric. I'm gonna put up a counter buzzer, because now this is not the second time that you guys have brought up LeBron James, and then y'all gonna be mad at us when we start talking about LeBron James. So I'm gonna get a buzzer for us to put up. All right, let me see. Well, if y'all know me, then don't judge me. Okay?
I mean, I like I said, I agree. I think Reggie was true, and that's not to knock Bron's greatness. We know who he is as an all-time great, but Bron, again, these are rosters that are constructed based off what LeBron wants, and then when it doesn't go well, Bron will blame everyone else for not doing their job.
Yeah. Listen, do your job, and he won't have to blame you.
Oh my God!
All right, let's get to these next couple of series, because we've been talking. We still got some other things to get to. Dallas, OKC. I did pick Dallas going into this series. Big shout out to Kyrie Irving. He's doing what Kyrie Irving has done his entire career, and that's hoop. Shout out to Luka, Lively, PJ. He got past that little situation he had, and now he's thriving now. So big shout out to him. Dallas is up right now in the series 2-1. They stole a game on the road. Talk to me about this series, Eric.
It's been an entertaining series. I don't think Luka's 100%, but they're getting great contributions from PJ Washington, from Derek Lively, from Daniel Gafford. Obviously, Kyrie has been very good in this series. Even in game 2 when he didn't shoot well, I think overall his play and his clutch, just rising to the occasion in the clutch, has been great for them. But for OKC, and this is to answer Scoop Hoop's question in here as well, where he said, if I say to you both, the Thunder lacking something to beat the Mavs in advance, what do y'all think it is? It's interior size. They can't match up. I mean, Chet Holmgren is really the only legitimate big on OKC. And Dallas is throwing 3 different, very versatile, very athletic bigs at you that can space the floor as well, because PJ Washington can step out and knock down the 3. I think that's what's really giving OKC trouble. You see it when their guards get into the paint. They've got to deal with that athleticism. On the flip side, they have been getting out rebounded. In game 3, they got out rebounded. In game 2, they got out rebounded. So I don't think there isn't a correlation, or there is a correlation, I should say, between game 2 and game 3 and who won those games based on who won the battle of the boards. So Dallas right now is able to control this game with their size on the interior. Obviously, Luka playmaking, Kyrie playmaking, the ability to space the floor and shoot. Shai Gilgeous has been great, but they're going to have to grab some rebounds if they want to beat Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Will Gordon. What it do, baby? See you out there. Scoop Hoop says, if I say to you both, the Thunder lack something to beat the Mavs in advance, what y'all think? Or is it simple 2 stars versus 1? Again, I picked Dallas going into this series, so it's no surprise to me what's going on right now. I did feel like Shai should have got the MVP, but that don't mean I feel like Shai is the best player in this series. And I think the combination of Luka and Kyrie, they finally figured it out. They got it together. They managed to get a little bit of depth out there. They got a solid big man with Derek Lively, who's been a blessing for them. Again, PJ has come in. Like these guys, they're playing great basketball at the right time. And when you're talking about a young, inexperienced OKC team, it doesn't surprise me that Dallas is up in this series, and that's why I picked Dallas to win the series.
Yeah, like I said, it's I think Shai, I'm willing to bait Shai against either one of the guards. So I don't think it's just a matter of that Shai is not the best player in the series. I just think that the complementary pieces are better in Dallas. Again, we're seeing what you get from PJ Washington, from Daniel Gafford, that are able to offset what you already expect from Luka, from Kyrie. So they're getting great contributions from other guys where I don't think Shai is getting that same consistency from everyone else. That to me is the biggest difference in the series. So it's not just 2 versus 1. It's also the other guys are playing better. Tim Hardaway Jr. had a good game the other day as well. So you're getting more contributions from everyone else on Dallas.
Yep. Shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop. He says PJ Washington and Gafford, as you just said, Eric. Biggest pickups, both of them Warriors. Yeah. And they have been playing basketball. And they're a big part of the reason that Dallas is up 2-1. They have put together a nice roster. They got a couple of guys that can come off the bench and do things. And they got a couple of starters that are meshing well together at the right time. Again, when you are a young team in the playoffs and you know, as great as Shai is, there is a drop in that OKC roster from him to just the rest of the starting 5, let alone the rest of the roster. And then to go to Hoop Baller Scoop's other comment here, SGA versus Kyrie, it's a big debate on my page. Who's better, and why? And see, here's the thing, right? See, people forget you have your player rankings, but then you have when the top players got to play the top players. That's when we see, like, if you look at the All-Star games, right? You ever notice some guys don't really excel in the All-Star game, but the ones that's really them ones, no matter who they playing against, they're gonna stand out and excel. I think in this situation, you know, now you got Kyrie. Yeah, they might have ranked Shai ahead of Kyrie during the beginning of the regular season. They might even rank him ahead of Kyrie going into the playoffs, but they're not ranking him based off of them going at each other.
Why not?
Mano. That's not. That's how they should, but that ain't how they do in the rankings.
I'm just saying, because shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop. I commented on it when he posted it on Facebook.
But it's different when you got to guard these guys that are ranked ahead, or your team has to stop these guys that they are still the greatest players in the world. We're talking about with Kyrie Irving. We're talking about an NBA champion right there. Shout out to everything that LeBron did, but Kyrie hit that shot to close out the series. He knocked down the game winner. He's been there before, time and time again. He's done this. He is an all-time great player, and that's what you're up against right now. So no matter if they got you ranked in the top 5, but what you gonna do when you're going to head up against another guy that's in the top 5?
Well, Shea's outplayed him in the series though.
Shea winning.
No, but that's not based on a one-on-one. No, but that's not. I think Shea has outplayed Luka in this series. When you look at
from the 3 a lot,
right? That's what I'm saying. I think Shea has been phenomenal, but the problem is for OKC is they don't have those other pieces that have elevated their game in the series. Dallas has that, and that's what's being able to offset the times that Kyrie or Luka may not have it. That's back to my point where it's not really 2 versus 1, because we know how great Luka is and we know how great Kyrie is. But when you look at what Shea has done in this series, Shea has been phenomenal. And as I mentioned, shout out to Hoop or the Scoop on the question and the post that he had on Facebook. I commented on it. Mm-hmm. To me, SGA is better than Kyrie right now at this point in their careers. That's not a knock against Kyrie. Kyrie is more dangerous with the ball in his hands. We know that Kyrie is one of the most gifted offensive players of all time. There's no debating that. But everything else Shea can do, his ability to play off ball, his ability to defend, his ability to rebound, Shea is a better player right now at this point in his career than Kyrie Irving is. And the numbers back that up. Kyrie has not played great in this series. Kyrie had 20 points in game 1. He had 9 points in game 2. He had 22 points in game 3. Shea Gilgeous, 29, 9, and 9 in game 1. 33, 12, and 8 in game 2. 31, 10, and 6 in game 3. Shea is putting up an all-time performance, but he just ain't getting the help from everybody else. So if you're asking me who's better right now, Shea is better right now. Kyrie and Luka just got more help.
Let me see. Let me go to Hoop Central real quick. Back to Anthony Edwards. He been filling it up. Pause. But both of you, no diddy. What does he need to do to improve to go to the next level? To me, he is making others better. I think we're seeing the apex right here. We're seeing who Anthony Edwards is. I don't know about. To be much better, he plays defense. He can shoot. You see him knocking down 3 after 3 after 3. He can do that. He can jump over damn near anybody in this league. I don't care who it is, and he's trying to jump over everybody in the league. Maybe you want him to get another assist or 2 a game. I guess I don't know what more do you need to see from him, because he's been putting up 40s like it's nobody's business.
He's been phenomenal. Maybe a little more consistency on a 3-point shot, but I think his mid-range game is great. So it's not like he's relying only on getting to the basket. If he could just get to a spot in the mid-range, he could kill you from there as well. But the evolution of his game will continue. He's super young. What are we talking about? 23, 22, 23 years old?
I feel like he doesn't make his teammates better like Jokic. Well, did MJ make his teammates better? But he was still the GOAT. He still is the GOAT.
No, well, Mike did make his teammates better. I don't think that's not a fair assessment.
Jokic, if you're saying that about Jokic, it's mostly because of his passing ability.
Well, it's different too. I think we got to remember, like, the structure of the team is completely different.
Well, if we think Anthony, player, right? But like who's like ranking players, right? Like if Anthony Edwards doesn't, I guess, quote unquote, make his teammates better, he could still be the best player in basketball if he was the best player in basketball. I don't think those two things are synonymous.
I think Anthony Edwards, again, he's 22 years old, and to compare him right now to Joker is a little unfair. Joker is 4 to 5 years older than him. Joker took his bumps and bruises in the playoffs and then became the player that he is now, right? Anthony Edwards is going to go through those same bumps and bruises in that same process as well to become a more complete player. So to say he doesn't make his teammates better, like I said, this is unfair. This is really their first playoff run. He's learning on the fly, and I think everything Anthony Edwards has done is exactly what the Minnesota Timberwolves need. If he doesn't score 44 points last night, they get blown out by 20. So they needed his offense yesterday. They didn't need him to be a distributor. They needed his offense. Now, if you're telling me that Cat is going to shoot better, that Mike Conley is going to shoot better if he passes him the ball, okay, but they still got to shoot better. Last time I checked, I think Karl Anthony Towns yesterday was 5 of 18. So he was getting shot opportunities. He wasn't knocking them down. Anthony Edwards is doing exactly what he needs to do for his team. Jokic, again, is a phenomenal player. He is one of a kind. I don't think we've ever seen a center with that level of IQ and that ability to affect all aspects of the game like Joker does. So to compare Joker, who is a true unicorn, to Anthony Edwards is unfair.
And if you're saying my MJ was averaging 5 or 6 assists a year, Anthony Edwards is averaging 5 assists this year. And his assists have been going up every year too. So if that's the case, then that means Anthony Edwards is making his teammates better. If we base it off of the 5 assists that MJ was getting, if he's getting 5 assists too, then yeah, he's going up every year.
Right. And that's Anthony Edwards is going to be fine. You took the jab at MJ though, Trip. You try to make it seem like, oh, MJ wasn't making his teammates better.
Well, that's a knock that people have on MJ is that he didn't make his teammates better. People do say that about MJ. And I'm saying if that was to be the case, then you don't have to necessarily make your teammates better to be the best player in basketball. Okay, let's say Kobe. Did Kobe make his teammates better? Do people, because that's a knock that a lot of people have on Kobe, right?
I think Kobe made his teammates better because you don't have to be a guy who averages high assists.
You personally believe that. Yes. You've never heard the take that Kobe does not make his teammates better.
But that's an argument that people try to shape to fit their narrative. You don't have to be a guy who averages 8 assists to make your teammates better.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right? Hold on, but hear me out, right? If I'm the best player on the team, right, my job is to also put you in positions that you can be successful in. So if that means me creating double teams to get you the ball or being able to move off ball to make it easier for you, all those type of things can still make your teammates better. You don't have to be a high assist guy just to make your teammates better. It's other aspects of the game that you can contribute to that make your teammates better.
What part of making your teammates better would shooting over 3 defenders be? Because I've seen plenty of nights where Kobe would tell.
Yeah, but so Bron has never done that. Bron has never shot over 3 defenders.
I mean, the knock on LeBron is that he
won't. Oh my God! See, don't do that, Trip. Because now, don't do that. You trying to take an isolated moment. You making it seem like every time. Hold on. You making it seem like every time Kobe came down court, he shot over 3 defenders.
No,
that was not every possession of the game.
Like that. I mean, how many years did Kobe? I mean, we had Smush Parker on the show, and he spoke about how much of a great teammate Kobe was not, and how much that experience, how bad that experience.
That's his personal experience. But Lamar Odom said Kobe was a great teammate. Ron Artest said Kobe's a great teammate. Paul Gasol said Kobe's a great teammate. So no disrespect to Smush Parker, but am I going to take your personal experience knowing you and Kobe was beefing for the first day you got there, or am I going to listen to 3 greater players who experienced the NBA at a much higher level? If they tell me Kobe was a great teammate, why wouldn't I trust their assessment over Smush Parker?
Well, they won with Kobe. They had a better team, so their experience is different naturally. When Smush Parker was there,
Powell said after the first loss to the Celtics that Kobe called him soft and was like, "You got to toughen up." Smush didn't like the interactions with Kobe, and that's cool. That's y'all situation. But that doesn't mean you're a bad teammate because Smush Parker said you're a bad teammate.
I'm talking about making teammates better. That doesn't necessarily mean just
all right. And Powell said he pushed me to be better. That's another way of making your teammates better. You elevate your teammates.
Who's your example of a player who made their teammates better around them?
Who's an example?
Who would be the if you looked it up in the dictionary, who's the person that makes their teammates the best?
I mean, it's all about your preference in terms of basketball. If you're somebody who likes him, there's people who might argue with us and say Chris Paul makes his teammates better because Chris Paul consistently averages 9 to 10 assists.
Yeah, there are.
All right,
but I would agree and say
that's your set, right? To me, all right. So to me, I'm gonna use somebody that we don't really talk about that much. To me, Tim Duncan made all his teammates better because he played the game the right way. But Tim Duncan never averaged 8 assists a game.
No,
he made the right passes. He played defense at a high level. He did all the things he was supposed to do. He was he
wasn't checking basketball. He was doing. He played basketball.
So you telling me? So if we go through every stat line, there won't be a night where he probably chucked up 25 to 30 shots when he had to.
I'm sure he did.
Of course, that's an unfair statement on Kobe to make it seem like every time down court he was shooting over 3 defenders.
But making your teammates better is not just about what you do on the offensive end. So yeah, maybe he might have taken up 25 on the shots on the offensive end, but I bet you he was blocking everything and changing the game and making the game so much easier on the defensive end for his teammates too at the same time. So he's still making his teammates better, even on the nights where he's got to put up 25 a game.
As you mentioned, you can make your teammates better by playing great defense. You can make your teammates better by coaching them on the court. Hold on. Me and you could be on the court, and as a teammate, if I see something and I notice something that can help your game, is that not making you? Is that not me being a good teammate to help you become a better player?
Yeah, that's
All right. So there's a lot of things that great players do that do not show up in the stat sheet. The great players can give you insight and provide IQ on things that maybe you didn't recognize in the game.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I don't think that that's unfair to say, oh, Kobe wasn't a great teammate because he shot over 3 defenders. Like, I'm sure there was insight Kobe was providing on the court that some of those guys would never get from any other teammate that they played with.
I mean, that's possible, but then if he didn't speak to them, what kind of insight was he able to?
Now he didn't speak to them. Lamar Odom's best years was with Kobe Bryant, was they not?
Yeah.
Paul Gasol's best years were with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
So is that not him making them better players?
You could argue both ways on that. Just because you won together doesn't mean he made you a better player.
I'm not talking about just winning. Their player performance was better with him.
There's always going to be better when you're playing with an all-time great. You should.
Okay, true.
That's how it goes. When you play with all-time great players, your numbers look better. Mo Williams even made an all-star team one year. What does that mean? A lot of guys make all-star teams based off of the successes of their teammates and how great their teammates are. Happens all the time.
Thank you, Hoopballer School.
I think Michael Jordan pushed his teammates to get better, maybe with fear and just his presence. And if you double MJ, he passed. Remember, Bulls played in the system. Ball movement to me, Curry makes players better. Just being on the court, like you said, it's not about assists. Yes, Pooh. I'm not gonna miss your comments, okay? You know what? Let me go back. Let me go to one of Pooh's comments. Let me find Pooh's comments now because I don't want now. Let me go to this one. Hold on. Caitlin Clark's WNBA official debut is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Let's run the numbers up. Second game, Aces and Mercury. Yes, we're gonna be tuned. I mean, even if we wasn't, I think the world is still gonna be tuned into Caitlin Clark's first WNBA game. So I don't even think that would have been an issue. I think it's everything, the storyline this season in the WNBA, or at least one of them anyway, is the Caitlin Clark story and how she's going to do. Is she going to be great? Is she going to be regular? Is she not going to be good at all once the regular season starts? So I think everybody's going to be watching no matter what.
It's gonna be amazing to see this debut. We already see the impact that Caitlin Clark is having on the business side of the sport. Now with teams having the private jets and with the sold out games for the Fever, so it's going to be great to see. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna try to see her in person soon as well.
And Pooh, this is not the first week with no rap beef diss songs, because Shaq did put out a diss track versus Shannon Sharp, and Justin Combs put out a diss track too.
So that's another. Oh my fucking god!
Yeah, even though I was just gonna say that's the dumbest thing he could ever did. 50 is not the one. That's all I'm gonna say. 50 is not the one to be playing around with. But shout out to Asia Wilson. Though she did get her. Now she's gonna get her own signature shoe with Nike. It'll be out in 2025. Nike felt the pressures of everyone getting at them because Caitlin Clark got the deal that she got. Asia Wilson didn't have a shoe deal, and I think they kind of said, you know what, let's just go on and give that girl a shoe deal. She did win back-to-back WNBA championship. She is the face of the WNBA. Let's do that. And again, that's not to say that Caitlin Clark isn't deserving of the deal that she got, because she is most certainly deserving of the deal that she got. But I think Asia Wilson, who has done everything right and is a winner of back-to-back championships and is arguably the best player in basketball and is most certainly the face of the WNBA, I think she should have a sneaker deal as well.
I agree.
But shout out to all the ladies. WNBA season is kicking off. We're definitely going to be watching this season, and we're going to try to get to a couple of games as well. Last series though in the NBA, Boston versus Cleveland. We both picked Boston in this series. It's looked like. Clearly Boston is the better overall team than Cleveland. I don't think anybody really had the Cavs coming out of this series unless you're just a diehard Cleveland Cavs fan. But shout out to Kyrie Thompson. Breaking news: Donovan Mitchell is out tonight's game
Mhm.
versus Boston. I don't think it would have mattered either way whether he was there or not. And that's no slight to Donovan Mitchell because he has been balling out this entire playoffs, but they're just outmatched by a very dominant, well-rounded Boston Celtics team, and they really didn't have a chance from the beginning.
Yeah, it was a terrible matchup as we talked about. I thought Boston would win this in 5, so the prediction is looking strong. Aside from Donovan Mitchell, they were going to need their shooters to play out of their mind to have a chance in the series. So it's not happening.
Cool. I'm gonna put your comment on the screen, but I'm not even gonna read it because if I read it, then they're gonna say I'm talking about him again. So I'm just gonna put it up there for everybody to see, and then we're gonna go to the next comment. But y'all see what shout out to Pooh, man. She always showing us love. So big shout out to her. NBA draft lottery. We saw who got the number one pick, which is kind of crazy, for a few reasons. Something that we've talked about on the show a couple of times. Shout out to Justin Frizione. Should the Hawks move on from Trey Young? We're gonna talk about that in just a minute. But the reason this is such a big deal because we have been talking about the possible Trey Young to San Antonio trade to pair Wimbayana up with Trey Young, but now the Hawks have the number one pick in the draft, and there's another 7 foot plus big
Mhm.
man out there who they're saying could possibly be on that level. So if you're the Atlanta Hawks, now we go back to Justin Frizione's question. Do the Hawks move on from Trey Young? You still got DeJounte Murray locked up over there.
No, he's not locked up. He's a free agent.
Which free agent?
He can hit the market. Yeah, he get the market.
You know what I'm saying? So, now you might be possibly losing both. Do you want to keep Trey Young now? I might want to keep Trey Young with this big man because basically you'd be creating what San Antonio would be trying to create in San Antonio by pairing Trey Young with Wimbiana. The Spurs who also have 2 picks in the top 8. I believe they pick 4th and they pick 8th. So I would like to see what they're going to do with those 2 picks if they pair them and try to move up or they try to go after another star. But what do you think? Do the Hawks trade Trey Young now that they have the number one pick? Before, yeah, I would say yes, no debate. But I think them having a number one pick kind of changes things.
Uh, I don't think they will. I know Alex Sarr right now is on most mock drafts. He's the Frenchman you're talking about. He's considered the number one guy. There isn't a clear consensus number one guy in this draft. So if you're the Hawks, I don't think I would trade Trey Young away and then just say we're going to build around this young guy again because there isn't one guy who stands out above everyone else. I think you keep Trey Young a little bit longer. You try to figure out a way to make it work, and if not, then you gauge what the market is for him. I don't think there's a great market for him either, though. He's an undersized guard who is very limited, especially on the defensive end. Offensively, he can't play off ball. That's why him and DeJounte have had their struggles because he is a very ball dominant guard. So I don't think there's a great market for him anyway. So I say just keep him. If you're going to take Alex Sarr number one, take Alex Sarr number one, and then you figure out if maybe you have some sort of duo there that worked. If not, you revisit the market. But if you're the Hawks, I wouldn't rush to make a trade for Trey Young, especially like I said, because there isn't much of a market anyway.
Yeah, if I'm the Hawks, I'm taking Alex Sarr at the number one pick in the draft. I'm gonna at least give this thing to the All-Star break because you kind of have an idea of if they can work together.
Right.
From what I'm saying, from the start of the season to the All-Star break. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But yeah, if I'm the Hawks, I don't jump right out the window and trade Trey Young now that you have the number one overall pick. I think that kind of changed everything. That changed a lot in this draft. The Hawks getting the number one pick because now you can pair Trey Young with another potential superstar big man, and if that works out, then you could be back in really good shape. So I like it for them. If I'm the Spurs, though, I'm gonna still try to. I think I still try to go after Trey Young if they put him up because if I'm the Spurs now again, remember you have those 2 picks in the top 9. So if you want Trey Young, you could throw one of them picks up there, and what I'm saying, maybe a couple of other pieces to match out the contracts. So I'd still try it if I'm San Antonio.
Yeah, and that might be an option that they go into the draft thinking about. I think if they're lucky and it plays out the way that mock drafts have shown it, if they can get Rob Dillingham at number 4 out of Kentucky, Rob Dillingham would be the perfect complementary point guard for Wemby, and another young building block to move forward. Now, if Rob is off the board, then I think you got some choices to make on whether you keep the number 4 pick or if you try to move on from it and get a veteran guard in, which I think would be the next move. As you said, and we've talked about it, we've teased it before. I think Trey Wemby could be a very good combination. I don't know how Coach Pop would feel about Trey Young, especially since he's so limited defensively. But Rob Dillingham to be number 4, if that's the guy who's still on the board, he makes perfect sense for the Spurs.
Now let me ask you this: if I'm the Spurs, do I say, you know what? Forget about Trey Young. Let me try to bring DeJounte Murray back, keep my 4th and my 8th pick, draft a couple of whoever's the best, 2 guys available at those numbers, and then continue to build that way and not give up a whole bunch for a second superstar right now. Because Wemby's young, he's gonna be there.
You could DeJounte, I mean, they went down that road before, and not to say that it wasn't successful. DeJounte was good there with the Spurs
and they
as
have
well.
a good relationship.
Right, they still have a good relationship. It wasn't on bad terms.
Yeah.
You just wonder if the price tag might be too high. DeJounte may just go to the highest bidder, as opposed to like cycling back. Because for as great as Wemby is, we know the Spurs are still a couple years away from really competing. Like next year, they might be a fringe playoff team. With the right moves, they could be a fringe playoff team. Right, they could. Right. And by year 3, year 4, you expect Wemby to really be dominating and make you a really legitimate playoff team. But to be a title contender, they might be a few years away. So I don't know if DeJounte is willing to go through that whole cycle again. He might just take more money to go to a team that's probably a little closer to competing. So, but it's not a bad move to bring DeJounte back.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk Bronny James real quick. Shout out to Hoop Bowler School.
We always finding a way to get back to the James family.
It's not me, bro. It's not me.
We always find a way to get back to the James family.
Bronny James measured out to be 6'1". He's staying in the draft. He was cleared to play. I mean, at this point, what else is he gonna do, man?
Go back to school.
This might actually be his only chance to get into the league. You better get in there while LeBron is still in there, because he probably won't even get in if LeBron ain't there, though, boy. Everybody's waiting on Bryce anyway. So you got.
I would love to see Bronny at least go back for one more year, work on your game. Just because you go back does not mean this opportunity won't present itself again. We have become conditioned to think that guys got to be ready after the first year, but there are plenty of examples of guys who weren't really ready until year 2, year 3. Ja Morant is one of the prime examples. Ja was not great his freshman year. He really excelled his sophomore year, which led to him being the number 2 overall pick. So there are opportunities to go back to school and figure it out. 6'1" guard.
That's tough though.
It's tough because normally at 6'1" you got to be an exceptional, like you got to have exceptional point guard skills. You're not really a guy who plays off the ball at 6'1".
Yeah,
and he right. Everything we've heard is that he's kind of a 3-and-D type player. It's hard to be a 3-and-D type player at 6'1".
Yeah, because you at that. I mean, realistically, you got to be running the point at some. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like to play off ball at 6'1", unless you're a knockdown shooter, unless you are just a phenomenal. But realistically, right now, Bronny at 6'1", I mean, it's like he's Pat Bev.
Yeah,
it's that's not a guy anybody's really excited to draft or invest a future in. Exactly. So go back, work on your game. Tighten up some of your skills and see if maybe you can work your way into a late first-round pick next year.
Yeah, let me start getting to some of these NFL questions. I'll get back to Justin. Justin says, expect a bounce back season for Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I do. I mean, you still got two exceptional wide receivers with AJ and my guy Devontae Smith, and guess what? You brought in a pretty big deal at the running back position, who outside of Christian McCaffrey may be the best pass catching running back in the NFL. So you basically, not only do you give you have a upgrade as far as running the football if you're the Eagles. Shout out to DeAndre Swift, but he's not Saquon Barkley. So running the football, you just upgraded, and you've just given Jalen Hurts another weapon that he can pass to. You know, the little soft, slow passes to the running back, a la Tom Brady, James. Was it was it James? Oh my goodness, I forget his name. And in New England, the running back
James White.
Yeah, there you go, and James
Mhm.
White. So you have that. So yeah, I think so. And again, they're still a playoff team last year. They just kind of got brought back down to reality a little bit, but I think Jalen Hurts is going to be just fine.
Jalen Hurts is going to be fine. The addition of Kellen Moore, I think, is going to help. Obviously, the addition of Saquon Barkley is really going to help. He'll be okay. Did he peak 2 years ago? Maybe. Maybe that wasn't the real version of Jalen Hurts 2 years ago. Maybe they caught everybody off guard. But I don't think last year was really who Jalen Hurts is either. I think he's a better quarterback than he showed last year. And I think this year we'll probably get a more accurate assessment as to who he is as a player and a quarterback.
I think he's in between where he was 2 years ago, where he was an MVP candidate up until that last, I think, second to last game when he got injured, and what we saw last season. I think he's somewhere in between that. And I think that's where Jalen Hurts is at. Shout out to Justin again. Jared Goff, 4 years, $212 million extension, $170 million guaranteed. Congratulations. You know, we have always been and will always be for the players getting to that bag. So congratulations to Jared
Mm-hmm.
Goff on that 170 million guaranteed. He deserves it. That Lions offense was incredible this season, so he definitely deserves it. He earned it, and to bounce back because it didn't look too good with the exit from the Rams. But he definitely has turned his offense around the last 2 seasons. Really, they have looked really good in this season. Obviously, we saw what they did getting into the playoffs. So congratulations to him.
It's well deserved. He went there at a time when that franchise was in complete disarray and they were trash when he got there. So to see the steps that they've taken the last couple of years, last year the way they ended, well, the previous season I should say, how they ended their season on a hot streak, and then last year getting to the NFC Championship game, and he played well. I thought he played better than Brock Purdy. They just had a couple moments in that game that they wish they could have back, and they probably would blow out the 49ers. Well deserved by Jared Goff. And let's keep in mind, if anybody who complains about the money, obviously we're not going to complain about it. He deserves all of this. He's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. He has more playoff wins than Kirk Cousins. So if Kirk Cousins could get the type of bag that he got, Jared Goff should definitely get paid.
Facts. Let me go to Kyrie's question. I like this one. Who has been the MVP of the playoffs so far in the first 2 rounds? I'm going to say it would have to be a toss-up between Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson. Um, I think if both of these series, let's just say both of these series go 7, I think they would have and they win and go on. I think they would have the edge on the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference playoff MVPs.
Everybody's going to say Ant. I'm biased. I'm going to say Jalen Brunson, just because Ant does have more help on his team than Jalen Brunson has right now. Also, Jalen Brunson, the 4 straight games of 40 plus, that hadn't been done in 30 years since Mike did it back in '93. I think that
6 straight games if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah. I think that type of that performance to beat Philly, because both of Philly's stars played phenomenal. Embiid and Maxey averaged over 30 points a game in that series. So for Jalen Brunson to go on a run, he went on scoring wise, and then to have that moment he had in game 2 against the Pacers where he gets hurt, misses a quarter and a half, comes back in the second half and has his Willis Reed moment. To me, it is Jalen Brunson, but I wouldn't be mad at anybody who say Ant-Man has been the MVP of the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
I want to say this, though, because I know a couple of you guys had talked about it all regular season leading up to the playoffs, and I don't see y'all mentioning his name at all. There were so many people that was like, oh, why can't Jason Tatum be the face of the league? Why Jason Tatum ain't getting mentioned in the MVP conversation? You see how poorly Jason Tatum has played in the playoffs? That's why he's not in any MVP conversations. That's why nobody's talking about him as the face of the league.
Because when we talk about the Celtics winning, we just talk about the Celtics winning.
Right.
We're not saying the Celtics are winning because Jason Tatum is putting up numbers like Jalen Brunson or like Anthony Edwards or like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or like Jokic. We're not talking about that. When we talk about the Celtics winning, we're just saying, yeah, they're the better team and they're dominating as they should because they're the best team. That's pretty much it. But with these other teams, we're saying the Knicks are winning because of how great Jalen Brunson is playing. Obviously, other guys are contributing, But we know what it is. When Jalen Brunson got hurt and then came back in that game and the Knicks came back, like that was him putting the team on his shoulders and,
Right.
and winning that game. Same thing with Anthony Edwards. What he's doing out in Minnesota, like it's clear that he is the best player on that team, and they're doing what they are doing because he's playing at the level that he's playing. We don't say that with Jason Tatum. And you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Tatum, because I think he is one of the best players in the league. But when you having those conversations of one about MVP, I can't give that award to him. If you're talking about face of the league, I definitely can't give him that one.
Nah. I saw I think I said this to you, Trip. Somebody on Twitter was like, Jason Tatum is the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris. He's the best type of player in that category. You know what I'm saying? he's like elite level Tobias Harris. He's like the best version of what Tobias Harris can be.
That's not
yeah, that's not a compliment. And it's crazy. I think it was, I apologize that I don't know if it was Will, we're not even going to address any of your Knick comments because the Wizards can't even win a lottery, let alone a playoff game. So we're not even worried about the Wizards. But somebody, I think it was either Scoop Baller who, I can't remember who put it up there. It might have been Hoop Baller Scoop about the Celtics not being challenged and, should they be the favorites? If anybody is benefiting the most out of how all these teams in the East is breaking down, it's the Celtics. Because the Celtics have the clearest path to get to the finals without ever being challenged. Their best player doesn't even look like an all-star caliber player at this point. And yet somehow they're probably going to get to the finals. And it may only take one great series from Jason Tatum for them to win a finals, which is almost unheard of because in most but I'm saying in most cases, you see a team where their best player like played great throughout the playoff, like what Joker did last year to win the finals, right? Played great. What Steph did 2 years ago had to be great. Tatum hasn't had to be good, let alone great, for 2 rounds of the playoffs. And yet they may find themselves in the finals without Jason Tatum even playing well, which is crazy. No, Tatum hasn't played well, and Porzingis has been out for a little bit now, and they still might find themselves in the finals.
Facts. A little bit of boxing news next week. First of all, shout out to Lomachenko. Got the decision in the 11th TKO over Kambosos Jr. I love it. I love seeing these kind of fights. These are the, like, you want to see you want to get the tanks and the bigger names. You want to see those always match up. But right here, what we saw was 2 of the best fighters from this era who are not scared to go into the ring with anybody, jump into the ring with each other. They had a great fight. Lomachenko came out the winner, so big shout out to him. And
Lomachenko put on a clinic. He dominated him, no different than what Devin Haney did in the second time they fought. And I hate the fact, and this is not a knock on Kambosos, I hate the fact that he got that win over Teofimo Lopez because he is not better than Teofimo Lopez. We found out about the health concern that Teofimo had going into that fight, and he still fought. And even the times I've gone back and watched that fight, Teofimo fought so emotional in that early rounds of that fight, trying to knock him out. And that's what really cost him the fight, because from like the 3rd round on, Teofimo controlled the fight and was winning the fight, but he lost those early rounds and got knocked down in one of those early rounds. But other than that, he was better than Kambosos. Devin Haney completely outboxed Kambosos for 24 rounds in Australia. Lomachenko went to Australia and just completely annihilated him for 11 rounds. And Kambosos claimed, say that again?
You want to see the rematch?
No.
With Teofimo and
Oh, yeah. Well, not even, like, later on, if Teofimo wants to avenge that loss, I get it. But Teofimo, to me, should be on to bigger and better things. Teofimo has the opportunity. There's already been the rumor floating around that Tank is looking to fight Teofimo. If not the next fight, possibly the fight after that, which I think would be a great fight. Ryan Garcia is trying to go after some of the bigger names. I think Teofimo would beat the brakes off of Ryan Garcia if they fought. So I want to see Teofimo against the true greats at 135, 140, maybe even 147. I don't want to see him circle back. Kambosos wasn't even worth it to me. You know, he should have never lost to Kambosos, but now that we 3 fights, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. You mentioned Ryan Garcia. He did send in his speed sample of blood to get tested. Obviously, the talk the past couple of weeks, um, the first two samples tested positive for a banned substance. So this is actually the last sample that he's going to be able to send in. I actually, told Eric that I kind of didn't want the result to be positive, just because I don't want to see that for the sport of boxing. What I'm saying? Even though I wanted Haney to win the fight, I picked Haney to win, but I just don't want to see a positive test because I don't want to give a black eye to the sport of boxing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to come of that. And the more and more that we talk about this fight, that I get a little disappointed in it, because being there live that night, I thought it was a great moment for the sport of boxing. But the more and more that we've analyzed the fight and talked about it, and now with the drug tests, and then with, to me, Ryan Garcia kind of disrespected the sport a little bit. For him to talk about, yeah, I was getting drunk and high the whole time in training, like he's trying to give off this very nonchalant personality. But to me, it's almost coming across as disrespectful to the sport, because we already knew you didn't take the weigh-in seriously. You were 3.5 pounds overweight. So we knew you didn't really even take that part of it seriously. But then to hear all the other antics, that to me is very disrespectful to the sport of boxing, very disrespectful to Devin Haney. No matter how you feel about Devin Haney, he handled it with respect. He came in ready to fight. He just lost.
Yeah.
But he didn't fail no drug test. He didn't come in overweight. He didn't do any of those things. He tried his best to be ready to fight you. And to me, it was disrespectful, Ryan Garcia. I hope that the sample that they're opening up now is not a tainted sample, because then it really makes us question everything that took place that night. And I sent you that clip where he goes on to talk about him experimenting with drugs in the past, which leads me to believe that, all right, so if you experimented with hard drugs, you can't tell me that you would never do performance enhancing drugs.
Yep.
Because if you're willing to put hard drugs into your body, what would stop you from putting a performance enhancing drug in your body?
Exactly.
So that part again, I hope we're not to that point where it tarnishes what early part of 2024 was probably the best night in boxing.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I said. I hope it's not the case, but we're gonna see, because the results will be made known to the public once they are in, and I'm sure we'll talk about that again when that happens. Before we get out of boxing, heavyweight division is going down. Usyk versus Fury, May 18th. It's coming Saturday. I'm actually looking forward to this fight, and to be honest with you, I don't have a winner picked.
I think Usyk is the better boxer, but he's given up a lot of weight and height to Tyson Fury, and this might be a situation where Tyson Fury might just be able to wear him down.
Yeah.
With the size difference.
Mhm.
Tyson Fury has postponed this fight before, and to me, it makes me feel like Tyson Fury maybe isn't sure if he's ready for the fight. But here
That's
we
why I'm not
are.
sure of a winner.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Tyson Fury, just because, like I said, there's a lot of weight to give up. Tyson Fury was a solid 30 to 40 pounds heavier than Deontay Wilder, who already is one of the bigger heavyweights. He's gonna outweigh Usyk. Unless Tyson Fury lost a lot of weight, he's gonna outweigh Usyk by probably 60 to 70 pounds on fight night. And Usyk's last fight against Anthony Joshua, I think Usyk came in around 220.
Mhm.
And Tyson Fury's fights against Deontay Wilder, I'm not even counting the one against Ngannou, but the ones against Deontay Wilder, when Tyson Fury was his most active as a heavyweight, he was
Yeah.
coming in at 270, 280. So you're already talking about a 6 to 7 inch advantage, pause, in terms of height. And then you throw in another 60 to 70 pounds. That's a lot to overcome, especially as the later rounds go on. Because Usyk, I don't think Usyk is going to knock him out. This is going to go 12 rounds.
This okay, so that is actually one of the issues, really the only issue that I have with the heavyweight division, is every other division there is a weight minimum and a weight maximum. With the
Mhm.
heavyweight division, there's no weight maximum. You know what I'm saying? So that is my only like issue with the heavyweight division. I think that's kind of crazy that you could have somebody that's 70 pounds heavier than another fighter, and they're fighting each other in the same weight class. So I don't know if that's something what that boxing will ever, because remember, there's not really, there used to be a super heavyweight division. There's not
Yeah.
much of that I don't see that any. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen that for years. But 70, 67 pounds, that's a lot. If we were talking about, oh, maybe Haney shouldn't fight because Ryan was 3.5 pounds over the weight that he was supposed to be, and you talking about 60 to 70 pound weight
Yeah.
difference. That's crazy to me. But
Yeah, there's I don't think there's any way you can simulate that in sparring as well, because you're not going to find sparring partners who are like, even if you find somebody who can match weight, like they're not going to have Tyson Fury's. Yeah, they're not going to have Tyson Fury's height. They're not going to have his boxing ability. So it's like you're just going to have a big guy in the ring that you're beating up on, but it's not a true indication of what it's like to be in there with somebody who is that much taller than you and outweighs you by that much. And that's the part that I think is going to be troubling for Usyk. I think Usyk is the superior boxer. And in most cases, I like to take the boxer, but Tyson Fury is not a slouch as a boxer either. Like, he's a pretty crafty boxer. We see that all the time with the feints, with the jabs and everything. He's got a little bit of pop. You know that. It's that part I think is tough, bro. It's going to be very interesting to see how Usyk responds, like from the 5th round on. Because I think early on, when he's trying to feel him out, pause and figure out how he can attack Fury, he's going to look energized. But if Fury's smart, all you got to do is continue to tie up and lean on him and make him push your weight off you over and over again. And by the 6th, 7th round, he's going to be tired, because like I'm literally wrestling with almost a 300-pound man in the ring. Like, I'm going to be tired. I'm not going to have anything left for the later rounds.
as long as Fury doesn't do what his father did and headbutt somebody from Usyk's camp, I think he'll be okay. That was wild, bro. The dudes is crazy, man. I'm sorry, man. Y'all gotta get that together. Balling for Peace, guys. It is going down June 15th. Once again, we are sponsoring the dunk contest. So yes, Real Fans Real Talk, we are back officially sponsoring the dunk contest. We're giving out $500 to the winner, as we have done every year for the past, I want to say, 5 Balling for Peace dunk contest. We're gonna get Haran up here within the next couple of weeks, so we can, once he starts really putting the squads together and letting everybody know who's going to be playing in the game, who's going to be in the dunk contest. I will give you guys this though. I did hear from a little birdie that the first ever winner of the Bowling for Peace Slam Dunk Contest, which was sponsored by us over here at the good folks over at Real Fans Real Talk, Maxwell Pierce will be making his return, his long-awaited return to the Bowling for Peace Slam Dunk Contest. So you might want to be in the building and catch that live. Myself and Eric Sanchez, we will be back in the building judging. We're gonna have one of our celebrity friends judging of the dunk contest with us. And then right after that, you are going to have the celebrity game. And H2O brings out the biggest celebrities. One of the biggest came out last year, and that was the great legend, icon in the acting world, who is so nice and amazing, Whoopi Goldberg. She didn't play, just so y'all know. She wasn't out there.
Nah, she was in the building.
She was there.
Shout out to Haran. It's always a great time, man. If you're in the New York City area, or if you're within driving distance, make sure you make it out there for Bowling for Peace. It is always an amazing event for the community. I got to hit up Max though. I got to see if maybe he can incorporate me into one of the dunks like he did at Hoops in the Sun.
They gonna say if you do that, Eric.
You're right, because we're judging. So if he brings me out for the dunk, then it's like, oh, he's trying to sway the judges.
We know him. If this is our first time meeting Max, and he just pulled you up and was like, yo, I'm about to dunk over all of the judges. It's like, all right, but since we know him and we got that relationship, just like they got this thing rigged. I see big shot. We got somebody from Belgium.
Shout out to Belgium.
Belgium is in the
Shout out to Freddie. Shout out to Freddie in Belgium. Some of y'all don't know, Trip knows. I lived in Germany for a little bit. Freddie, I lived out in Hanau, Germany, man. So shout out to Belgium, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, salute, man. We love that, man. Oh man, we love all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? But we just our first time getting somebody in here from Belgium. Welcome to the family, Freddie. Hopefully you come back. And again, my bad, y'all, because we were supposed to be back on Sundays, but then Mother's Day came up yesterday, and you know how that go. You got to show Mama love, her love. You got to give her time. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. All right, nothing but respect for all of the moms that have been holding it down. raising these bad behind kids for generations upon generations. Nothing but love. Freddie, we were talking about boxing. We haven't really talked too much about kickboxing, but if there is somebody that you would like for us to talk about in the kickboxing world, hit us up on our social media, man. Drop a comment, drop us some names, and we'll talk about it. We listen, man. We love when our supporters send us homework and things for us to do. So big shout out to Freddie and shout out to the whole Belgium, man. All right, that's nothing but love out there. Eric, let's get into the final thought segment, man.
As always, man, shout out to the supporters. We greatly appreciate you guys, man. I seen, like you said, comments starting very early. Shout out to Kyrie Thompson. I believe it was Kyrie Thompson who said we watching out on the big screen right now, which means you putting us on to your peoples and letting them know to rock with us. So we greatly appreciate that as well. We never take that for granted. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Keep doing your thing. We appreciate you guys. And what we got coming up? Trip?
Well, we're gonna be back.
For Peace is coming up.
Mm-hmm. That's actually the same day as the fight. So we're going from Bowling for Peace to the Garden for Bruce Carrington's fight. So we got that. That's gonna
be facts. That's right. We will be there for Shushu's fight. That is Puerto Rican Day weekend as well. The city's gonna be crazy.
So yep, absolutely. Shout out to Glenn B. No, we no soccer news this week. But again, like I said, if that's something y'all want to talk about, just hit us up on our social. Maybe you got a social media, man. Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. Like, subscribe, and all that. And thank you, appreciate you, Freddie. I appreciate the subscribe. And just send us a message, Twitter, Instagram @Real Fan Talk. If there's something specific you want us to get to, y'all want to give us some homework, definitely just send a message, youtube.com/For the Fans Productions. And again, for everybody, if you're not in the New York City area and you can't watch us on TV on Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m., don't worry, you can watch us from anywhere in the world. All you got to do is click that red button on the homepage at realfansrealtalk.com, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure you guys subscribe to two of the best podcasts out here moving, and that's the Sanchez Show podcast and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast. We are dropping new content every week. We're going to be with some of our friends within the next couple of weeks, so we're gonna start bringing some guests as we get ready for the summer and things start getting hotter out here in New York. Eric's gonna be up here, start coming up here a little bit more. We got some
that's a fact
that we got in the works with Justin Biggs. Big shout out to Justin Biggs. We're gonna be doing some stuff with him over at Bronx Tale Studios in the Bronx. Big shout out to my guy Heck over there as well. With that being said, though, for myself, Trip Young, my brother Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.